America's national parks. They are the nation's crown jewels, vast cathedrals of stone and sky preserved for all time. We go to them seeking renewal, to witness the sublime power of nature, to stand in awe of granite cliffs, ancient forests, and canyons carved by time itself. They are places of profound beauty and light. But these are also ancient lands, landscapes that have witnessed millennia of human history, long before they were ever designated as parks. They have been sites of sacred ceremony, of desperate survival, of brutal conflict, and of sudden violent death. The raw, untamed power that we find so beautiful can also be terrifyingly indifferent. And in the deep woods, the silent canyons, and the historic lodges built upon this old ground, the past does not always rest easy. The echoes of tragedy and mystery can linger, becoming something more than just history. They become legends, specters of vanished people, curses whispered on the wind, and creatures of folklore that stalk the moonlit trails. These are the legends that still haunt America's national parks, brought to life. Our journey into these shadowed lands begins where the earth itself opens into a wound a mile deep, the Grand Canyon. Here, on the more remote and desolate North Rim, a lonely spirit is said to wander, forever searching. She is known as the Wandering Woman. The legend says that in the 1920s, a woman and her family were staying at the Grand Canyon Lodge. One day, her husband and young son went for a hike along the Transept Trail. A sudden violent storm rolled in, and the two never returned. Consumed by grief and driven mad by loss, the woman refused to accept their deaths. When the lodge closed for the winter, she stayed behind, hiding in the woods, emerging at night to walk the rim, calling out their names. She eventually succumbed to the elements. Her body found the following spring, but her spirit, it is said, never left. Dressed in a white gown with blue flowers, she is still seen walking the Transept Trail between the lodge and the campground, especially on stormy nights. Hikers and park rangers have reported seeing a spectral, shimmering figure moving silently along the cliff edge, her mournful cries echoing in the vast emptiness of the canyon. Some have felt a sudden, inexplicable chill or an overwhelming wave of sadness in the spot where she is most often seen. The Wandering Woman is not a malevolent spirit. She is a ghost born of pure, undiluted sorrow, a tragic echo of a family torn apart by the canyon's unforgiving beauty. She serves as a permanent, ghostly reminder that for all its majesty, this is a wilderness that can swallow hope whole, leaving behind only a legend. From the depths of the canyon, we travel north to a land of geysers and primal volcanic power, Yellowstone National Park. Within its boundaries stands a monumental log structure, a rustic masterpiece of architecture called the Old Faithful Inn. Built in 1904, it is one of the most famous hotels in the world. It is also reputedly one of the most haunted. Its most famous spectral resident is a woman known as the Headless Bride. The story dates back to the early 20th century. A wealthy young couple from New York were celebrating their honeymoon at the inn. The husband, however, was a gambler who quickly squandered the family fortune his wife had brought as a dowry. When the money was gone, a terrible argument erupted in their room in the inn's old house. In a fit of rage, the husband struck his new bride, stormed out, and locked the door. Later that night, a maid heard weeping from the room. When she entered, she found the bride in the bathtub, her head severed from her body. The husband had vanished, never to be seen again. Ever since, the ghost of the bride has haunted the Old Faithful Inn, particularly the east wing and the crow's nest, a precarious balcony high above the main lobby where the orchestra used to play. Staff and guests have reported seeing a headless apparition in a white wedding gown floating through the halls. The disembodied sound of a woman crying is often heard at night, Doors open and close on their own, and lights flicker inexplicably. One of the most terrifying encounters involves guests waking up to see the spectral figure standing at the foot of their bed, holding her own severed head in her hands. Today, the Headless Bride is a permanent part of the inn's folklore, a chilling tale of love, greed, and murder that has stained the history of this iconic lodge. Her tormented spirit forever bound to the place where her honeymoon and her life came to a violent end. While Yellowstone's ghosts are born of personal tragedy, the spirits of Yosemite National Park are said to be born from a collective one, a curse laid upon the valley itself. For centuries, the stunning Yosemite Valley was the home of the Ahwahnechee people. They called the valley Ahwahnee, meaning place of a gaping mouth. But in the mid-19th century, the California Gold Rush brought disease and violence. The Mariposa Battalion, a state militia, was sent to drive the native people out. A brutal conflict ensued, and the Ahwahnechee were forcibly removed from their ancestral home. According to legend, the tribe's old chief, Tenaya, laid a curse upon the valley as he was led away in chains. He warned that the spirits of his people would forever haunt the land, and that anyone who disrespected it would meet with misfortune. This curse is said to manifest in many ways. Hikers often report hearing strange, disembodied cries on the wind near Yosemite Falls, believed to be the wail of a young Ahwahnechee woman who was frightened by a ghost and fell to her death. Another legend speaks of the spirit of Grouse Lake, a young boy who drowned there and now calls out to lure others to a similar fate. But the most pervasive paranormal phenomenon is tied directly to Chief Tenaya's curse. Visitors who take rocks, pine cones, or other natural objects from the park as souvenirs have reported experiencing terrible luck, accidents, illness, financial ruin, that only ceases when the stolen items are returned to the park, often with a letter of apology. The curse of Yosemite is a powerful, lingering echo of a historical injustice, a belief that the land itself, protected by its original inhabitants, will punish those who treat it with disrespect, ensuring the spirits of the Ahwahnechee will never truly be silenced. Heading east into the ancient rolling hills of the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, the legends grow darker, rooted in the deep folklore of the Cherokee people. Here, one doesn't just worry about bears in the woods. One fears a creature far more terrifying. She is Utlunta, or Spearfinger, a shape-shifting witch with a stone finger she uses to pierce the livers of her favorite food, children. Spearfinger could take any form, a beautiful young woman, a stooped old grandmother, or even a close family member to lure her victims away. Her only telltale sign was her stony, spear-like forefinger, which she would often keep hidden. The Cherokee legends say she could build bridges of rock just by pointing, and that her voice could sound like the thunder. She was a bogeyman of the highest order, a creature used to keep children from wandering off into the dense, misty forests. But the stories go beyond simple cautionary tales. They speak of a great council of tribes that came together to finally trap and kill her. They dug a deep pitfall trap, covered it, and then set a great fire. When Spearfinger fell in, the warriors rained arrows and spears down upon her, but they all bounced off her stone skin. Finally, a small bird, a titmus, landed on her hand, chirping ununun, revealing the one place she was vulnerable. A warrior shot an arrow into her hand, breaking her heart stone, and she was consumed by the flames. Today, the legend of Spearfinger still haunts the deep hollows and misty ridges of the Smokies. Some hikers have reported seeing a strange old woman who vanishes as they draw near, or hearing a voice that seems to come from the rocks themselves. The legend is a powerful piece of cultural heritage, a reminder that the park's wilderness is far older than its designation, and that some of the most terrifying monsters are not beasts, but those who wear a human face. From the misty mountains, we descend deep into the earth, into the longest cave system in the world, Mammoth Cave National Park in Kentucky. In the 1840s, a physician named Dr. John Croghan purchased the cave, believing its constant cool temperature and pure air could cure tuberculosis, then known as consumption. He built a series of small huts, one of stone and two of wood, deep inside the cave and brought in a group of patients to live there. It was a grand Gothic experiment in medicine, and it was a complete disaster. Instead of being cured, the patients grew sicker in the damp, perpetual darkness. The smoke from their lard oil lamps filled the air, and their constant coughing echoed horribly through the caverns. Within a year, several had died, and the experiment was abandoned. The two wooden huts were removed, but the stone hut and the scattered foundations of the others remain, a place now known as Corpse Avenue, and it is here that the ghosts of the patients are said to linger. Visitors on cave tours report seeing ghostly, emaciated figures near the huts and hearing faint, dry coughs that seem to come from the empty darkness. The spirit of one of Dr. Croghan's slaves, Stephen Bishop, who was a legendary guide and explorer of the cave, is also said to haunt its passages, his phantom lantern seen bobbing in the distance. The hauntings of Mammoth Cave are a chilling chapter in medical history, the desperate hopes and tragic failures of the past, trapped forever in the eternal night of the earth, their spectral coughs a permanent echo in the silent stone. We now travel to the Pacific Northwest, to a mountain that looms over the landscape like a slumbering white giant, Mount Rainier National Park. This active volcano is a place of immense natural power, and according to some, it is a beacon for visitors from far beyond our world. For decades, Mount Rainier has been one of the most significant UFO hotspots in North America. The modern UFO era arguably began here. On June 24, 1947, a private pilot named Kenneth Arnold was flying near the mountain when he saw 9 crescent-shaped objects flying in formation at incredible speed, which he estimated at over 1,200 miles per hour. He described their movement as like a saucer if you skip it across the water. A newspaper reporter coined the term flying saucer, and a global phenomenon was born. Since Arnold's sighting, thousands of people, pilots, climbers, rangers, and tourists, have reported strange aerial phenomena around Mount Rainier. They describe silent, triangular craft hovering over the summit, fast-moving orbs of light maneuvering in ways no conventional aircraft can, and even cigar-shaped motherships emerging from the clouds. Some paranormal researchers and ufologists theorize that the mountain, with its unique geology and volcanic energy, may house a secret alien base deep within its glaciers. Others point to the strange disappearances that have occurred on the mountain suggesting abduction. Whatever the explanation, the legacy of the 1947 sighting is undeniable. Mount Rainier is forever linked with the mystery of UFOs, its snowy peak a silent sentinel that continues to attract strange visitors to its skies, its legend a modern myth that asks us to look up and wonder what exactly is out there. In the heart of the Colorado Rockies, another majestic peak holds a legend, this one not of aliens, but of an aristocratic ghost with a penchant for mischief. Rocky Mountain National Park owes much of its existence to the efforts of naturalists, like Enos Mills, but its early popularity was fueled by a luxurious hotel that sits just outside its entrance, the Stanley Hotel. Built in 1909 by Freeland Oscar Stanley, inventor of the Stanley Steamer automobile, the hotel became a summer retreat for the wealthy. It's also famously the inspiration for the Overlook Hotel in Stephen King's The Shining. But before King, the hotel had another famous resident whose spirit is said to remain. He was Wyndham Quin, the fourth Earl of Dunraven, an Irish aristocrat who in the 1870s tried to illegally acquire a vast swath of the Estes Valley to create a private hunting reserve. His land grab ultimately failed, but he loved the area, and according to legend, he never left. The ghost of Lord Dunraven is said to haunt room 401, the room he always stayed in. Guests and staff report the strong, phantom scent of his cherry pipe tobacco, seeing the apparition of a dapper, mustachioed man standing in the corner or looking out the window and hearing phantom footsteps. He is also blamed for minor thefts, with small, shiny objects, like jewelry or keys, going missing, only to reappear in plain sight later. He is not a malevolent spirit, but a roguish one, a ghostly aristocrat still trying to claim a piece of the valley he adored. His presence ties the park's history to its Gilded Age past, a charming, spectral reminder of the larger-than-life characters who were drawn to the Rockies and, in some cases, decided to stay for eternity. Far to the south, in the vast rugged wilderness of Big Bend National Park, the legends are as stark and unforgiving as the Chihuahuan desert landscape. For centuries, this was the land of the Apache, and their spirits are said to fiercely guard the Chisos Mountains, the only mountain range entirely contained within a national park. The most prominent legend tells of the ghosts of Apache warriors who used the mountains as a stronghold. It's said that after a battle, the spirits of the slain would gather on Emery Peak, the highest point in the Chisos. From there, their ghostly forms can be seen riding phantom horses across the ridges, their war cries carried on the dry desert wind. Campers deep in the Chisos Basin have reported hearing disembodied whispers in the Apache language and the sound of drums echoing from the cliffs at night. Others have seen shadowy figures darting between the rocks at the edges of their campfire light, or felt the unnerving sensation of being watched from the darkness. One specific ghost story involves a phantom campfire that is sometimes seen high on the cliffs. Those who have tried to hike toward it find that it's always just out of reach, and as they get closer, it simply vanishes, leaving no trace of ash or burnt wood. The ghosts of the Chisos are protectors of a sacred land, their legends born from a history of conflict and survival. They serve as a powerful reminder that the park is not just a scenic wonder, but a homeland, its ancient spirits still standing watch over the silent, sun-baked canyons. Traveling west into the towering sandstone cliffs of Utah's Zion National Park, another guardian spirit is said to stand watch. This spirit, however, is not one of conflict, but of solemn protection tied to the park's most iconic peak, the Watchman. For centuries, this area was home to the southern Paiute people. They held the land as sacred and believed powerful spirits resided within the canyon's walls. When Mormon pioneers arrived in the 1860s, they gave the canyon its current name, believing it to be a natural sanctuary. But the Paiute legends persisted, particularly the one concerning the Watchman. They believed this massive rock formation was a sacred sentinel, inhabited by a powerful spirit tasked with protecting the canyon entrance. This spirit was said to be a benevolent force, but one that demanded respect. Those who entered the canyon with a pure heart and respect for the land would be safe, but those who came with greed or ill intent would be met with misfortune. The spirit could cause rock slides, sudden floods, or lead disrespectful visitors to become hopelessly lost. Today, the legend of the Watchman's spirit continues to be told. Hikers and climbers on the peak have reported feeling a sudden, inexplicable presence, a feeling not of menace, but of being observed and judged. Strange lights are sometimes seen near the summit at night, with no logical explanation. The legend is a beautiful fusion of Paiute spirituality and pioneer reverence, a belief that the land itself has a consciousness. It casts the watchman not as a mere geological formation, but as a living entity, a silent, eternal guardian at the gateway to a sacred place. Further south, in Colorado's Mesa Verde National Park, the spirits are not just guardians of a single peak, but of an entire civilization frozen in time. The park protects nearly 5,000 archaeological sites, including 600 spectacular cliff dwellings built by the ancestral Puebloan people between 600 and 1300 AD. Around the year 1300, for reasons still debated by scholars, they abandoned their homes and moved south. But their spirits, many believe, never left. The hauntings at Mesa Verde are subtle, but deeply felt. Park rangers and visitors, especially those who stay late or camp in the park, report a host of strange phenomena. In the areas around the cliff dwellings, like Cliff Palace and Balcony House, people have heard the faint sounds of chanting or drumming drifting from the empty structures after dark. The spectral figures of ancient people have been seen standing in the shadowed doorways of the dwellings, watching visitors before fading away. A particularly eerie legend is that the spirits become agitated if their homes are disrespected. People who have shouted into the dwellings or attempted to touch the fragile walls have reported being followed by a menacing shadow figure or feeling a phantom hand on their shoulder. The spirits of Mesa Verde are not just ghosts. They are the psychic residue of a lost culture. Their presence a somber and powerful reminder that the park is, first and foremost, a vast and sacred cemetery, its ancient inhabitants still keeping a silent, watchful vigil over their magnificent homes in the cliffs. In the northern Rockies of Montana, at Glacier National Park, a legend exists that is not of a ghost or a creature, but of a chilling prophetic vision. It is tied to the park's most famous landmark, the Going to the Sun Road, and the mountain that gives it its name. The Blackfeet Nation, whose ancestral lands include the park, tell the story. The mountain was a sacred place, and its name comes from a legend about a deity who descended to teach the people the secrets of the spirit world. But there is another, more ominous legend associated with the mountain, the vision of the two suns. According to the story, a wise elder once had a vision that a time would come when two suns would appear in the sky over the mountain. One would be the real sun, the source of life. The other would be a false sun, representing the coming of a new people and a new way of life that would threaten to destroy the Blackfeet world. This false sun was a harbinger of disease, broken treaties, and the loss of their lands and the buffalo. The vision became a prophecy of the massive changes and tragedies that would befall the tribe with the arrival of European settlers. Today, the legend of the two suns adds a layer of deep, historical melancholy to the breathtaking beauty of the park. Some visitors have reported seeing strange optical phenomena near the mountain, like unusually bright sundogs or atmospheric lights, which they connect to the old prophecy. The legend haunts the landscape as a story of profound cultural loss, a spiritual warning that the going to the sun of the new people cast a long dark shadow over the original inhabitants. Our final journey takes us to the stark, otherworldly landscape of Joshua Tree National Park in Southern California, to a tale of frontier justice and a restless spirit. Deep within the park lies the Desert Queen Ranch, the former homestead of a tough, resourceful miner and rancher named Bill Keys. Keys was a true desert character, but he had a long-running, bitter feud with his neighbor, a former lawman named Worth Bagley. The dispute was over land, water, and a road. In May 1943, the feud came to a violent end. Keys claimed Bagley ambushed him. Keys, a crack shot, returned fire and killed Bagley. He turned himself in but was convicted of manslaughter and sent to San Quentin prison. After 5 years, his case was reviewed, and it was determined he had likely acted in self-defense. He was pardoned and returned to his beloved ranch, where he lived until his death in 1969. He is buried in the park on a hill overlooking his ranch. But it's the ghost of the man he killed, and perhaps Keyes himself, that haunts the area. Visitors to the ranch, now a historic site, have reported strange occurrences. The windows of the old schoolhouse where Bagley's body was laid out are said to glow with a faint phantom light. Strange cold spots are felt near the site of the shootout, and the ghostly figure of a man has been seen wandering the property, believed to be the restless spirit of Worth Bagley. Some even claim to have seen the ghost of Bill Keyes, a tough old man in a wide-brimmed hat, still standing guard over his desert kingdom. The story is a classic Western tragedy, a tale of two hard men in a hard land, whose violent conflict has left a permanent psychic scar on this quiet corner of the desert, their spirits forever locked in a feud that not even death could end. If you enjoyed this journey into the haunted lore of America's national parks, please click the like button and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more explorations into history's most mysterious corners. We'll see you in the next one.